If you're dealing with blushing and then you feel humiliated, this video is for you. Okay, I'm going to share a perspective based upon a coaching session that I did just last Sunday. Hey, my name is Seb. I'm a former social anxiety disorder sufferer and blusher extraordinaire. I blushed very badly from 12 to my late 20s until I ended up working with my mentor who helped me overcome it. And now it's not an issue in my life anymore at all. I'm 40 and I haven't blushed in the longest time, years. So it can be overcome, but it tends to be quite a sticky issue. Here's what happened during last Sunday's Social Confidence Club live webinar. We had the format of doing a deep dive, and here I work with one volunteer, and I'm like, what's your biggest social anxiety issue? And for her, it was blushing. Now, she reported that she had done a lot of work already. She'd been in the club for 6 months, and blushing around her family was still happening, but she didn't judge herself for it anymore. For her, now the biggest problem remained when she was at work and when she was in group situations and when all the focus was on her. So upon exploring what was going on there, she said, well, I feel exposed and people can see it and I feel judged, right? It's a very common story. And so I told her, like, well, we have about an hour and a half. It's unlikely we're going to fix your whole blushing issue in one go. It's possible, but what is most important in order to reduce your suffering is to work on your self-judgment for the blushing and your lack of acceptance. It's the first letter in my Art X approach, allowing acceptance. And that's important because when you have a blushing problem, what tends to happen pretty much for all people is that it isn't just a blushing problem, it's a blushing and a non-acceptance problem. So there are people that blush and that's it. They're fine with it. They don't have a problem with it. And there are people that blush, like it was for me, and when the blush comes up, it would make me cringe. It would make me feel so ashamed and embarrassed and looked at and humiliated, and it would make me judge myself to be inferior, less of a man, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you can relate with that secondary person, and this is very relevant. Now, my client last Sunday very much could relate to the second person that I described. So for her, she would feel unacceptable, unprofessional, ashamed of herself, and like there was something wrong with her. Then I asked the group, because we have a group of people that is following along, watching this session, how is it for you? Who can relate to the blushing? About 50% of the hands went up. And I'm like, what is it for you? What does it mean to you, about you, when other people see you blush? And people were like, well, it means that I'm pathetic. It means that I'm a loser. It means that I'm less than others. It means that I'm an easy target. It means that I'm fragile. So my question to you is, what does it mean for you when other people see you blush? What does that say about you? Because whatever it means about you, that's a meaning that you've made yourself, most likely. And it is something that causes or contributes to the non-acceptance. Now, that's getting a bit technical. Let me give you a simple example. So here, got my mom's phone case here. Let's say that's your blushing problem. Now, if you just had the blushing problem, then you'd get into a situation, you do something embarrassing, or there's a topic that's brought up, like sex, for example. It was a big topic for me, it would instantly make me blush, and boom, you blush. And then topic goes away, and blushing goes away, and that's the end of it. You might blush for 30 seconds, and then it's okay. But for me and for my client, the blushing would stay for a long time because it wasn't just the blushing that would get triggered. At the same time, there was a secondary problem on top of the blushing. That secondary problem I call non-acceptance. And it's made up out of things like, I feel ashamed about the blushing. And the blushing means that there's something wrong with me. The blushing means that I'm pathetic. The blushing means that I'm inferior and a loser. So it's the meaning that you've made out of it, the self-judgments, and the meta emotions that you have about the blushing that make the blushing worse. Because now, topic of sex comes up, to stay with that example, boom, you blush. Now you notice the fact that you're blushing, and you feel ashamed about the blushing, which makes you loop. Now it confirms that you're a loser. You're judging yourself in this moment. So now you're blushing, you feel shame, you judge yourself, you blush more, and now you're just stuck in that cycle. Then you go home and you think about how bad you blush and how everyone saw it and how you're going to run into them again and what they now think of you. And it's that shame loop. It's absolutely horrible. So in my session, what we did is I said, okay, we need to focus on helping you come to terms with the blushing. Because it's possible that the blushing means I'm a loser and I'm inferior and I'm pathetic, or it can mean I'm blushing and I still respect myself. And it doesn't mean that I'm a loser. It just means that I've got faulty wiring or outdated programming, because that's really what it is. Maybe, yeah, I've worked with many people with blushing. For example, they got humiliated by someone when they were 14. That memory was traumatic. Their brain took a snapshot of that moment. It got stored in procedural memory and never fully processed and dumped into long-term memory. And as a result, that memory is still active. Then they go about their lives and boom, they're in a similar situation to the time where they were humiliated and blushed. And that memory gets opened up and they feel how they felt during that traumatic experience all over again. And that just keeps looping. That's one example of what can keep the blushing problem ongoing. So since that is the faulty wiring and it's not something you have control over in the moment when you blush, because when you blush, it just flares up right in that moment. You can recognize the fact that, like, hey, I'm dealing with a problem. It really sucks. It's really painful to deal with this blushing issue, but it's an issue that I'm dealing with. And it doesn't have to define who I am. It's an issue I'm dealing with. And that separates you from the issue. It's just my wiring rather than there's something wrong with me. So we did a lot of EFT tapping and energy psychology interventions in order to help my client release the shame about the blushing and release the meaning that she had made out of it, that she's pathetic and that that there's something wrong with her, and change her perspective, her attitude towards the blushing. And as a result, at the end, she felt calmer, she felt more relaxed, she felt more at ease. And when she thought of her blushing issue, she no longer felt the cringe and the shame that she did before, and she held it much more lightly. Okay? That's possible. And that means that she's moved into more acceptance of the blushing. And that doesn't mean that she approves of it, that she likes it, that she wants it to stick around, or that she stops working on the actual causes of the blushing. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that she's taken an all-important first step heading in the direction of acceptance, because acceptance soothes the problem and it is very helpful for your self-esteem, because you stop feeling so bad about yourself because you have an issue that you're dealing with. Very, very important. So I wanted to share that with you. Hope that's helpful. There's more to it. Overcoming a blushing issue tends to be quite a sticky issue, but if you just manage this alone, if you just get to this point alone, that's going to be massive. One of the things that you can do as a quick takeaway from this is kind of answer the question that I posed to you earlier. What does it mean to you when other people see you blush? And then you'll get an answer, or you get a bunch of answers. Aim at those answers and use EFT tapping on that. I won't go into detail how to do that in this video. If you want to learn more about how to overcome social anxiety, how to overcome blushing, which is just a symptom of social anxiety, you can get my free mini course called The 7 Secrets to Social Confidence. And you can get it by going to bit.ly/social confidence now. If you want to check out some video testimonials of people who overcame blushing thanks to this approach where I combine the best of psychology with the best of energy psychology, of which EFT tapping is one of the techniques, you can check out one of these testimonials.